Now, to pot them up, you can do two things. I've done both of them. One of them is you can purchase a potting soil from Home Depot or Lowe's, and the only thing I do is I add 1 part peat moss to this potting soil, and the reason for this is because I found that this potting soil, most of it has a little too much pine bark in there. And so when you go water these potting soil, the way it comes, water just basically runs through there. And this peat moss helps to retain some of that moisture in there, makes it so that, it'll be a lot easier for you to even take a pencil once you fill up your whatever container you're going to use. You can even use a cup if you have solo cups, those cups you use to drink, throwaway cups. You can use those if you want. I like using the 4-inch container. You use the pencil, you fill up your containers. Once you fill them up, you use the watering can, or you use the, if you're doing it outside. Because if you're doing it inside and you use the watering can, what you're going to do is you're going to make the wife mad. So remember that the bottle of dishwashing soap, you can use that. But what I usually like to do is I like to take my trays outside if it's not too cold. Now, if it's too cold, you obviously can't do that with tiny little seedlings, Fill them up with this potting soil. I'm going to tell you the other way. You can fill them up almost to the top, 1/4 inch to the top. And then you wet this mix with a watering can outside. You put them back on the tray, bring them inside, and then all you need to do is take the same pencil you used to pry the little tomatoes out of the container and stick them in there. But what you want to do is you want to stick them in there deep, like bury them almost all the way to the top of the leaves. Now, this is the only vegetable that benefits from this. Don't do this with peppers. They don't like being very deep. So once you've done this, you want to put them back again under the lights. And what you will want to do is you really want to do this about 2 weeks before you take them out. You don't want to pot them up and take them outside. It'll be too much stress for them because they're so small. So if you pot them up, keep them inside under the lights for another 2 weeks, then you can start, to adjust them to the outside conditions. But remember that you gotta first keep them in the shade in a way where they're protected from high winds. And the other way was you use the same mix that you use to start the seeds. But if you do that, what you have to do is you have to buy a soluble fertilizer. And you can buy, I don't want to tell you any brands, but anything that you buy, you want to make sure there is a complete fertilizer. And all that is it's got the basic three, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. But it also has the micronutrients in there. And this is a way for you to be able to push your plants to grow, fast. I know that a lot of you guys probably want to grow organically. And you guys know that there is this seaweed fertilizer and fish fertilizer. Well, I won't suggest that you try this indoors because, it doesn't smell that great. And you guys know what I'm talking about. So I never even tried to do that because, I don't want to upset my wife. She's been really gracious enough, that lets me grow my stuff indoors. I don't own a greenhouse. I do everything inside. So, that's the reason for me using this. I was telling you to read instructions on that thing and then don't follow them. What you want to do is you want to use 1/3 the recommended strength. You can use a soluble, like I said, or you can buy a hydroponic fertilizer. just make sure it's a complete fertilizer. You can buy these, over the internet fairly easy. So those are two ways that I use for raising my seedlings, and I'm sure there's organic potting soils out there that will work, but just so that you guys know, in my garden, I don't use any fertilizer. So the only time I use it is for my seedlings. I don't use it for anything else. So I try to grow organic as I can. And my wife will tell you, I mean, I used to do it. I used to, use that stuff, and I quit using it. It's really not good for your soil. It's not good for your microorganisms and all that stuff. So I would suggest, not to use it. If you can find someone that has a organic fertilizer that you can use, I would suggest, use it. But, like I said, the only thing that I know will work will be the seaweed and fish fertilizer, which it doesn't smell good. So if I had a greenhouse, that's what I will be using. So, you can see, you can use both of them. Both of them, that's what I use. The 36-inch sail tray is big enough that I don't have to pot them up into a bigger container. So I use it solely for that fertilizer. So you guys, I don't know if you guys want to do that, but if you don't, then even before they have their, 2 sets of true leaves, you need to start feeding them with a weak fertilizer. Otherwise, there's no nutrients in that mix. The tomatoes, I go with the 4-inch. The reason for that is they don't do so well in something that small. Now, the smaller the container, the faster it's gonna dry out.